All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is Simon the Sorcerer Origins. Right, so before we get into it, a bit of a history lesson. Nothing too lengthy here, but it is actually rather important because of that Origins tag. Anyway, so Simon the Sorcerer is actually apparently a very long running series um, dating back to the 90s. Now, I can vouch for like the 90s adventures, or at least the first two games, Simon the Sorcerer 1 and Simon the Sorcerer's 2, um, which were, I think the best way to put it, like Monkey Island, but very British. Like, design, developed, everything was made by British people. It's got British cultural traditions, British humor, like
British slang that I have had to do a little bit of decoding of.
yeah,
Luckily, I am aware of some of it.
mm, like apparently, for example, the according to Wikipedia, the lead character's design was inspired by that of fictional British television character Blackadder, which is not the most obscure British comedy, but hardly the worldwide phenomenon that Rowan Atkinson's other major series, Mr. Bean, became.
They're very,
What?
very different characters. I guess I can kind of see Simon being like frickin' teenage slash barely preteen Blackadder.
He's even worse in the sequel because he's fully teenage and just like so much worse in two.
Oh no, I'm just going by how much of a menace he is in this one, which is a prequel, hence the title Origins.
Right, right. Like apparently six games existed before this Origins thing came out, though a lot of those were in German initially. um yeah, that has a lot to do with the original developer slash publisher going bankrupt after the utter failure of Simon the Sorcerer 3D. Like, never played the game, but looked horrible. Like, it's the kind of game where you just see it in screenshots, you go, that's going to be a piece of shit. Levels of bad. And we're talking about something that came out in the late 90s to early 2000s, so it's pretty ugly. Um, anyway, so that leads us to today. This has been revived for a possibly unnecessary prequel. I don't know, since this game was given to Golux for review. So over to him for the details.
I did not quite finish it. I made a decent amount of progress though. So I can't vouch for the entire story, but overall, this is very much a classic style adventure game, more or less, brought up to uh, modern conventions. Largely, it's fully voiced, which I think was actually a thing with a lot of voicing all the way back to the CD version of some of the old games.
Apparently, it's starring the original voice actor, who would have done the talkie version, as they called it back in the day. See,
hmm
adventure games around this time got released in two flavors: the floppy disk, which was no speech, and the CD version, which had the speech.
Uh-huh. But yeah, it's because CD quality sound, obviously, and just sort of general data amounts. So yeah,
Yeah,
but it still has a lot of the attributes of traditional adventure games, such as somewhat janky detection occasionally, uh, weird flagging, where like you need to specifically talk to a certain character before you can use an object on another object the way that you need to do to progress. and not in a the character tells you to do this way. Um, but I mean, overall, you could do a lot better than having uh, pretty nice art. And I mean, it's not like throw a bridle at the snake and cream pie at the Yeti. And screw you if you accidentally ate it first level. Um, Although I did relatively recently get a sleeping potion that I think I can make more of, and I'm curious whether there are reasons to apply it to other people. Um, that is to say, to make more of. So yeah, Simon is a menace of the gets thrown out of multiple schools and has to move a lot variety. And as he's moving into the new house, he gets sucked into the magical world, and a wizard named Calypso tells him there's a prophecy where he has to do some things before he can go back. Somewhat remains to be seen how much he actually is going to want to go back by the end of this, but based on the fact that this is a prequel, I'm fairly certain he's going to have to. um, so yeah, you have to go through. Honestly, I had a little bit of trouble in the very prologue before you even go to the magic world, because one of the puzzles requires you to get a magnet off the top of the freezer fridge thing. And the way you have to be able to reach that is by opening the fridge and opening the drawer in the fridge and then standing on the drawer, which I guess you could do that if you were a child, but it would be a bad idea
Yeah.
for like more than the usual you'd get in trouble for it reasons.
It's the you're taking ambulance very shortly kind of reasons.
Like it would just you'd probably fall or it would break or something, yes. And Simon obviously doesn't care about breaking, but I don't know. Anyway, that took me longer than it should have to figure that out. But then once you get to the magic world, and there's a lot of like talking to people, you can use objects on yourself or other things, as well as get thoughts of them, and you can use objects on other objects to combine them or alter them in various ways. And then once you've broken into the magic school and started learning some actual spells, no, not in class. What are you, crazy? Um, this magic school has a lot. Who just left?
It might have been Adam. I can't see.
This magic school has a lot of Wizard series we don't talk about references, but that's okay, I guess. They're oblique. But like you'll know what they're getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Um so yeah, you get like fire spell, cold spell, magic hat that changes things. And yeah, that's about where I am. I don't want to do too much in terms of spoiling the story, and also like I said, I can't completely spoil it because I haven't completed the game yet, but I have enjoyed it a lot. Even with the high levels of Britishness. If you don't like that and don't know any, like mostly it's like remedial Cockney rhyming slang that you can figure out from context, but
Mm.
if you don't know anything about that, it might be a little bit confusing. And people who have played the previous ones, there seem to be a decent amount of references that you might enjoy more than me because I have not. I did understand, obviously, that when Simon accidentally magics his face into pixels, it's the pixel version of his face from the previous games.
Mm.
So yeah, that's overall I would rate this as a pretty good attempt at a modern execution of a point and click adventure game. I played it with a controller, which it allows, but playing it with a mouse would probably work better.
Mm.
Because using the controller, it's fine. You can, there's a run button to make you move faster. The main issue that I come up with is that sometimes the area you need to stand in to highlight the specific key points that you want to interact with is a little bit unexpected. But you can also use the shoulder buttons to cycle between having key points and whatever key points are within a certain area of you. The shoulder buttons will cycle through those to select the right ones.
Mm.
Some of it is just my stubbornness of trying to interact with it on foot, as it were. Adam, I think you're back. So how much are they charging for this?
$25.
Hmm. It does seem like it might be a little on the short side. But I think in general, for the quality of presentation and voice acting and stuff,
Is it fully voiced, or is it just certain characters voiced?
pretty much every character that you interact with is voiced. That's
All right.
not a whole ton of random people. There are a lot of like NPCs that are visually standing there but are just not interactable at all.
Fair. But like compared to like some like visual novelesques where only the main characters have voices and no one else. On even at the top end.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much all of the dialogue is voiced, I think.
All right.
I can't remember anything major that wasn't. So yeah. Generally, my biggest concerns about it would be some point and click adventure game jank of needing to hit all the right flags before you can do the thing that you can definitely tell that you need to do.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that's actually probably a reasonable price, all things considered.
Alrighty.
All right.
Did you guys have any questions or anything?
Not really.
Okay.
All right. So that'll about do it for Simon the Sorcerer's Origins. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review the Telenet Shooting Collection.